This is Deoghar, literally the abode of the gods. At its heart stands Baba Baidyanath Dham, one of the 12 Jyotirlingas of Lord Shiva. And every year during the month of Shravan, something extraordinary happens here. Millions of pilgrims, barefoot, carry pots of water more than 100 kilometers from the Ganges at Sultanganj, just to pour it over this one shrine. It is called the Shravani Mela, and it is the longest religious fair on earth. But Deoghar is more than one temple. It is a town of ashrams and hill shrines, of a Radha Krishna temple built to rival Bengal's finest, and of a ropeway that lifts visitors into the Trikuta hills. This is everything you should know about Deoghar. Deoghar sits in the northeast of Jharkhand in the Santhal Pargana region, close to the border with Bihar. It is part of the Santhal Pargana division alongside 5 neighboring districts: Dumka, Godda, Pakur, Jamtara and Sahibganj. The land is mostly flat farmland that rises gently toward the Trikuta hills on its edge. The district covers about 2,481 square kilometers, and at the 2011 census, it was home to nearly 15 lakh people. Around 83% of them live in villages, working the land between temple seasons. For decades, this corner of Jharkhand was hard to reach by air. That changed in July 2022 when Deoghar Airport opened, the first major airport in the whole Santhal Pargana region, built specifically to carry pilgrims in. As a district, Deoghar is young. It was carved out of the old undivided Santhal Pargana district on the 1st of June 1981. Today, it is organized into 2 subdivisions, Deoghar and Madhupur, spread across 10 blocks. Among them, Sharat, Devipur, Mohanpur, Palojuri and Sarwan. Deoghar town itself is the headquarters, and its twin town, Madhupur, is the district's second major urban center. But long before it was an administrative district, this land already had a name. Old Sanskrit texts called it Haritakivan, the forest of the Haritaki tree. The name Deoghar itself is newer, and it almost certainly comes from the great temple that was built here. The Baidyanath temple is one of the oldest Shiva shrines in India. Some accounts trace its existence back to around the 8th century, and legend credits its very architecture to Vishwakarma, the divine builder of the gods. Over the centuries, kings added to its grandeur. Raja Man Singh of Amber, a general under the Mughal Emperor Akbar, is remembered as one of its patrons. The temple's tower rises 72 feet, shaped like a blooming lotus, with 3 gold vessels fixed at its peak. Around the central shrine, the complex grew to include 21 smaller temples sharing the same courtyard. It is this temple, standing at the center of the town for well over 1,000 years, that turned a forest of Haritaki trees into Deoghar, literally the house of the gods. Deoghar's economy has always run on faith. Long before industry, pilgrims were its trade, buying flowers, sweets, bangles and prasad by the millions, filling its lodges, guest houses and dharamshalas every season. That pilgrim economy still drives the town today, and the new airport has only accelerated it, putting Baba Dham within a short flight of Kolkata, Delhi and Mumbai. Beyond the temple gates, the wider district is still largely agricultural. Paddy, maize, mustard and pulses grown across its plains, much of it dependent on the monsoon. Santhal Pargana as a whole is one of India's centers for tussar silk, the wild, golden-toned silk woven from forest silkworms. And Deoghar's weavers and traders sit inside that same belt. Between temple and tussar, faith and farming, Deoghar earns its living. Walk through Deoghar and you will hear at least 4 languages inside a single conversation. Hindi and Khortha, the everyday link language of this region, along with Santali and Bengali, both strong across the Santhal Pargana. Faith here is layered, not singular. Shaivism centers on Baidyanath, but the Naulakha Mandir, built at a cost of 9 lakh rupees and modelled on Belur Mutt in Bengal, is devoted to Radha and Krishna. And at Satsang Ashram, founded by the spiritual reformer Thakur Anukul Chandra, thousands gather for a modern reformist strand of devotion, with gardens, a museum, and meditation halls of its own. The signature season is Shravan, when the entire town turns saffron with the robes of the Kanvariyas. On ordinary days, the food is simple Eastern Indian fare: rice, dal, and litti chokha from roadside stalls. Deoghar's most striking export has always been spiritual, not celebrity. Thakur Anukul Chandra, the founder of Satsang Ashram, made this town the center of a movement that today has followers, ashrams, and centers worldwide, all pointing back to Deoghar. And in a different sphere, Air Chief Marshal Birender Singh Dhanwa, born in Deoghar in 1957, went on to lead the Indian Air Force through some of its most demanding years, including the Balakot operation as its Chief of Air Staff. From a saint who built a spiritual capital to an officer who commanded India's skies, the town of the gods has sent out its own share of remarkable lives. For visitors, Deoghar's first stop is always Baba Baidyanath Dham, but there is far more nearby. Right beside the temple lies Shiv Ganga, a sacred pond where pilgrims bathe before darshan, believed to carry the same purity as the Ganga itself. A short ride out of town, Trikuta Parvat rises sharply from the plains, home to one of the very first ropeways ever built in this part of India, carrying visitors up to a hilltop temple and a 360-degree view of the district. At Tapovan, caves and hillside shrines mark the spot where legend says the sage Valmiki once meditated, with a Shivalinga carved deep inside one cave. Basukinath Temple, some 43 kilometers away, is often visited on the same trip as Baidyanath, as part of one continuous pilgrimage circuit. And on Nandan Pahar, a hillock at the edge of town, a Nandi shrine faces its Shiva temple across the slope, one of the best sunrise and sunset points in all of Deoghar. So that, in short, is Deoghar, a district that grew up around a single Jyotirlinga and became a town of temples, ashrams and hills, drawing millions of pilgrims every single year. And now, its own airport to bring them in. Agricultural at its edges, spiritual at its core, and named quite literally for the gods it is said to house. If this is your district, tell us in the comments. And tell us which district we should travel to next.